Howdy ho.
Hey, Chris.
How's it going?
Hold on one sec. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, cool. Hold on, let me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was just messing around with all my settings because, yeah, sometimes you got to change them up.
Hold on one second. Speakers. 1 second. I can't hear anyone.
I can hear you, Joe. Can you hear us now, Joe?
Okay, I think that'll fix it. There it goes.
Test, test.
You can hear us, Joe?
There we go. Sweet.
Okay.
I was cleaning up my desk and my cables got disconnected. How's everyone doing today?
A-okay.
A-okay. Excellent.
Rainy day in New England.
Excellent.
Rainy day in New England.
I see some usual suspects here.
Yep. I see some unusual ones as well.
Some usual suspects here.
Yep. Oh, someone's on a delay. Ones as well.
Some usual suspects here.
Excellent. How's everyone? Guy, how's it going, man?
Yeah, great.
Sweet. Oh man, I'll be honest. I don't really have much prepped for today. I've been cleaning my office and getting prepped for the summit this weekend. Yeah, gonna try some new video setup. So if you're gonna attend the summit this weekend, we'll see if I get it working. And got some new. Here's a sneak preview of what some of it is. I got some new Hue lights.
Ah, fun.
I've actually had them for a very long time. I just never set them up. So, I'll have, if you ever watch YouTubers, they got like cool lights in the background to like accent the backdrop and stuff like that. So I've always wanted to do that. So we'll see if I can be like the cool kids. Don't know if it's going to work, but we'll see.
Yeah, I tried. I gave up.
I figure I wasn't cool in high school. I got to keep trying, I guess.
Yeah. Never give up, Joe. We're all pulling for you.
I have a dream.
Yeah, perfect. Oh man, it's all a matter of perspective anyway.
So yeah, I don't really have an agenda. So if anyone has any questions or cool stuff they want to talk about, I'm just going to open up the forum. So you can unmute yourself and chit chat. I'm happy to answer anything you got for the next hour. And I haven't been on the community much this week, so sorry if you have a question on there and I haven't answered you. It's been crazy busy.
So Joe, when it comes to galleries in blogs, I noticed that there's a post gallery 1, post gallery 2. One, I guess, lines the pictures up vertically or something, and 2 lines them up.
No, they're just different features. So gallery 1 will not work in Foundation 6. Okay. So
that's why I was.
It just wasn't possible for me to make it work in Foundation 6. So I didn't want to get rid of it because there are people using it on existing sites and blah blah blah. So that's why I released gallery number 2, which will work in Foundation 6.
That's where I was having the trouble. Because I
Aha.
used 1, and then this morning I changed to 2, and I went, oh, those are working.
Yes.
Why-
Yeah. Post gallery 1 does not work in Foundation 6.
All right.
The reason for that is I thought this was really brilliant when I did this. And a lot of the components in Foundation or in Total CMS, so the gallery, the slider, and I don't know, a few other things. They use Foundation components, Foundation 1 components, right? And that was really cool. For years we had Foundation 1, and it kind of just everything just kind of really worked well together. But in Foundation 6, a lot of those components had some very fundamental changes. And the gallery itself actually doesn't even exist, right? There isn't even a gallery in Foundation 6 because that component was decommissioned. It was removed. So that's why that stack doesn't work in Foundation 6, because that gallery component doesn't exist in Foundation 6. So that's why I don't remember what version. I think it was 1.6, I'm guessing. I don't remember. But I released Post Gallery 2, which is a completely standalone gallery, and it'll work in anything. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it was working this morning. I just didn't understand why, when I switched from one to the other, it wasn't working, and then suddenly it was.
I thought I added a little note inside the settings. Maybe I didn't. That was my bad.
I probably didn't see that.
Okay. Sorry.
That's all right.
Sorry if you wasted some of your time on that one. My bad.
Yeah, scratching head. I don't. You notice I don't have that much up here to worry about.
Well, you work so hard, it just falls all out. See?
Yeah. Right.
Anyone else have any open questions that we'd like to chit chat about? I know some of you are attending the conference. I have a couple questions actually. Have you looked at the schedule and any talks you're like kind of excited to see or interested to hear?
Secret, top secret.
Oh, mine? Okay. I'll admit I was waiting to determine what my talk was going to be based on getting everything else. So everyone else's talks organized to make sure that I could fill in any gaps with my kind of general knowledge. I could fill in any gaps. So, yeah. Actually, so I'm giving 2 talks at the conference.
Right.
I'm going to be kind of tag teaming at the end of Guy Woodland's. He's going to be doing a talk on accessibility and how to use how to test your sites with screen readers and a bunch of other stuff like that. And so I'm going to be doing a talk directly after his. So he's actually tag teaming with a guy from this guy, JP, from a company called Senclude. And so they may go over a little bit more than an hour. And then I'm going to fill. So basically, the 3 of us are taking up a two talk time slot. I'm just going to fill in the end with some things that I would like to make sure get taken care of and show you guys some debugging and testing and stuff like that. And then my second talk was going to be kind of like a Weaver Space State of the Union address, which could have some cool things. But I just had another speaker actually today come to me, and he really wants to give a second talk. And so his second talk may replace my State of the Union, and I just may inject my State of the Union during the Hangouts or various other things. Or I might just talk about it for 20 minutes at the very end of the conference or something like that. So we do have one more talk that's going to be added. I haven't added it yet. I'll probably add it to the site today or tomorrow. But it's from Brett Carmichael. If you ever heard Brett speak in the past, he's super intelligent. He's going to be talking about like project management and stuff like that, which is his forte. Like he is like, some people get hard-ons about stuff, and he loves project management. So yeah, he's good at it though. Like, man, that guy, like if you show him a Kanban board, if you know what a Kanban board is, like he is just like in love. Like he's just that's his element. So yeah, he's really good. He gives a lot of really great detailed talks though. He is just like in love. Like he's just, that's his element. So yeah, he's
You know, I have to tell
What'd you say? Sorry, say that again. Oh, not sure who was speaking. I missed what you were saying. It was kind of muffled. Is that Danny? Kind of sounded like Danny. No? Oh, how's it going, Danny?
No, I was going to say, Joe, that after what you did with Davide and his talk,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I downloaded a couple of his projects. Those are just really amazing things to look at and study.
Yeah.
I
Awesome.
mean, his organization within there is really, you know, pretty amazing. You know,
Cool.
it's like you're building two sites. You know, you're building the admin site and you're building the other site. But I mean, the way he gets everything organized is pretty nice looking.
Yeah. You know, I mean, those project files can be a huge learning tool.
Yeah.
You know, for people. I agree 100%. Because, you know, Foundation 6 does have a learning curve. But pretty much everyone that has persisted through that learning curve has always told me, at least, that it was 100% worth it, and they see the benefits now of Foundation 6, not only on the site performance side, but in their workflow, how they can do things faster now, right? So it was definitely, you know, I agree, it was a huge paradigm shift, going from every stack has its own settings to, you know, kind of needing to learn a little bit of how to apply those settings on your own, you know? So yeah, really cool stuff.
I'm the poster child for the underachievers.
Dang, hey, I got some new posters on the board. I should have got one with Danny Grizzle, underachiever. I don't know if you guys can see that. That one up there, that one. So I've always had this Rapid Weaver one, but I actually bought like a frame for it now because you know, it was just like, you know, with push pins up on the wall. And I knew one day it was just going to get bad. So I'm glad I got a frame for it. And then this one I never put up because I wanted a frame. It's history of Mac OS 10 cats. Here, I'll show you. I bought it online. Here, we'll find the website. I'll share my screen really quick. Let's go. Do this. Okay, so if we do that. It's just this company, this app I use, but they kind of like created like these cool little products, like as a little side business. But I can't remember where the hell it is. I think it's like, there it is. Stuff. There we go. History of Mac OS 10 cats. So yeah, I don't know if you guys how well you guys can see that, but it's pretty cool. So it just shows, you know, it has each version of, oh wait, that's not the one I have. That's the history of all, even with the California ones. I got the ones that was just the cats. This one.
I thought that was a dog grieving a bit that there was cats named after cats.
So yeah, it has each version, you know, from Cheetah all the way to Mountain Lion, which was the last version of the cats. Interesting that really the only one that like kind of is different is Lion. Like, you know, in terms of like even like what the cat looks like all these cats kind of look the same, except the lion's the only one that has the mane. Oh, they had tiger. Tigers are quite different. It's just the illustration makes it look the same. Anyway. There we go.
So I got a question if you got a second.
Go for it.
All right. So last Friday on the Hangout, you were showing us how to do the link button and add the Font Awesome cart on top of the button. Beautiful.
Yes.
All that works. So my next question is, what if you got a drop-down box? What code I can't figure out what to put for the actual link where you click the link to insert the code. I just sent you some of the code. I mean, it works perfect. I did a bunch of buttons when you just have one item in there and you just copy the link to the one product code
Mm-hmm.
in Cartloom.
Whoa, Zoom Inception. Look at that. Oh, wait. That was crazy. Okay. I'm trying. Yeah, by the way, you guys can see my screen right now. I'm trying a new kind of like Zoom stream thing.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Excellent. Let's open up a RapReaver project here. Okay.
You may still have that. If you sent a link to the file, you sent it to us so we could download it Friday when you were on there. I don't know if you still got that. It may save you some time.
Okay. But it's just putting an icon in the button. That's all you want?
Well, no, I've made the button when you have in Cartloom just one product that doesn't have a drop down box with the font awesome cart on top of the button. So you have a little cart next to where it says add to cart, right? My question is, I can't seem to make it happen with the drop down box because I can't figure out what, in other words, it doesn't show the drop down because of those options.
Hmm.
I didn't know if you've ever messed. I looked at your site and I don't think you've got anything with drop down boxes with Cartloom, do you?
No, I don't use Cartloom drop down boxes. Here I'm just opening up some projects to kind of remember what I did for you. Wait, what was the file that I gave you just called Sandbox? This doesn't look like it.
What was it called?
Or was I smart and call it Cartloom something?
You called it F6 Cartloom add to cart.
Oh man, I was smart sometimes. Look, sometimes I do things right. F6 Cartloom add to cart. Crash test dummy. F6 overlapping content. F6. There it is. Boom. Here, I'll chuck this URL in the chat if anyone wants it. I have no clue what's really in it, but okay, let's have a look at it.
And so I've achieved what you've done there, and I can make those kind of buttons when there's just one product. But like where I put in the chat, where you have two options as a drop-down box in there.
Okay.
Can't make it happen.
Okay, got it. I think I get it now. Okay. So this is the code that Cartloom gives you for the drop-down add to cart, right?
Right.
Okay. So what I can do for right now, let's chuck this in a HTML stack really quick. Just chuck that on the page. I'll put it below these two. Okay, so this has a form. You have some options. Okay.
Basically, everything I've tried, when you click the button, the cart's just empty when you go to it, and it never even displays the drop-down box.
Oh, well, this might not have. Okay, there we go. So, but yours doesn't display this drop-down?
Well, what I was trying to do was make a button using the link.
So you want the button to be the foundation button, but you want this to be the form.
Right.
Basically.
I want it to look just like the buttons and match everything else.
Okay, cool. Let's get her done. Okay. So the simplest thing I bet is if we just use because this is just HTML, and if you look, this button has a class of BTN. If we change that to be a class of button, okay, that should give us an add cart button.
No way.
So yeah, so
Am I
So
the
again,
only
all
one in this
I
room?
did there is so inside this code here, this at the code where it has this add to cart, I just changed the class. Before it was BTN. Do you guys see the magnification? I think you do, right? Okay. And you change that to be button. And so yeah, that's just Cartloom uses some classes from a framework called Bootstrap. And the foundation class for a button is button instead of BTN. So there you go.
Okay. And so what did you copy and put for
You
the
know,
link?
I copied your code, pasted it in there, and I changed that class. That's all I did.
Oh, okay. So you're not even using a link stack now. You're just putting it
Nope.
in.
I just I mean, to build this will be a little bit more complex to use to change this out because this is actually using an entire form. So I mean, you could build this in a Foundation 6 form stack, and then use a Foundation 6 select, and then manually build in all these options. But I don't know. I just think that's a lot of work. I guess you could do that if you really wanted to. But yeah, the easiest way is just use this code, change that class to be button instead of BTN, and you're done.
And there's still a way to add the little font awesome cart button. Cart.
Oh, the Font Awesome cart there. Let's see if we can do that. Okay, so you guys add to cart here.
Hello.
I'd look at where the hell is it? Oh, there it is. Submit. Let's look at this really quick. I am doing that. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to modify the code just a little bit. So this input uses this button here uses an input. We're gonna have to change that to be a button element. I'll put this code in the here, and actually let me magnify this a little bit so you guys can kind of see. So I changed the input value to be, hold on one second there. Let me undo what I did so then you guys can see. So here I'm in the input. I'm going to change this tag to be a button. Okay. And then we're going to have to add a closing. Buttons require a closing tag. Okay. Then at this point, we don't need this value. Okay. And we're gonna put it the value in here. And then we're just gonna here. Actually, let me just copy this, the code from there, and I'm gonna put it right inside that button. Okay. So now I'm using the same, Font Awesome 5 snippet with the add to cart inside the button tags, and this should work. Let's see. Looks like it works to me.
Nice.
Can you shoot me that file by chance? It's kind of blurry and hard to see all the text, what you entered and everything.
Sure. I will here, I'll just save this file. Oh. Come on, RapidWeaver. Mac. The heck. Normally I can drag the icon from the menu bar. Why can't I do that? I can do it for that file. Oh, because I didn't save it. Ah, interesting. A little cool tip if you didn't know, like I use Droppler a lot, and you instead of like finding this file in Finder, you can just drag the file from the title bar, and it's the same thing as if you were dragging around this file from Finder. I don't know if anyone knew that, but I use that every day. I think I discovered that a couple years ago and was like, what? Blew my mind. Okay, I'll put the here's the new download link to that. There you go. Threw it in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe.
Oh, I should load up the YouTube chat in case anyone any questions over there. I hate CAPTCHA so much. Especially for login forms. I mean, if someone's logging into their account, like what is the purpose of a reCAPTCHA form? I don't understand that. It makes no sense. Like I'm logging into an account. I'm not going to be a bot. Like, right? Does that make sense to anyone else? I don't know.
A username and a password is a username and a password. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, seems ridiculous.
They want to make sure you're really you.
And if anyone is watching on YouTube, I guess here I will put the I'll put the link to the Zoom in case you didn't quite get it. Let me get the invite link. I guess I need to open an email. Interesting. Just open it in email.
Bless you, Wolf.
I knew I sent an email today. Where'd it go? Didn't an email reminder go out today about the live stream?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh,
Don't miss the Hangout today.
Yeah, I had to go back to that just to get the Zoom link because I had initially gone in under Facebook. And went, wait, this ain't right.
oh, there it is.
I got mine today, Joe.
Cool. Yeah, I finally found it. Man, I got too many emails in my inbox. I hate that.
It's being popular.
Yeah. I guess I'll show. I didn't show, and most of you probably haven't seen the cool little drop down chat widget that I built last week because I showed that off on the Hangout on Friday. I'll show that today and we'll kind of rebuild it. It's really cool. Okay. For everyone that's watching not through Zoom, I put the link in the comments, so you should have that in the chat now. Sorry about that. Okay. So here, let me share my screen again. This is actually super cool. So you guys know all of those. Like I used to have like a little chat widget on the bottom corner of my screen of my website. I don't necessarily have that any longer because, well, it made myself too accessible. I'll just to be honest, like it was, everywhere. I'd be getting, messages on my phone like 24/7. I'd be at the supermarket, and chatting with people, and it was just like, it was just excessive. So I don't use that any longer. But someone wanted the ability to have that same kind of look and feel, but just put a contact form in there, right? And so yeah, I did that. Let's show you really quick. I think it's on this. I think it's this project file. And if I believe it's also still published at sandbox.joeworkman.net if you want to play around with it. Yeah, here it is. So it's down here at the bottom here, and we just click on that. It's just a little, has like a little contact form inside there. And this isn't a stack. This is just built with the stacks that come with Foundation 6.
Your screen is cut off because you're not sharing your full screen.
Oh, shoot. That's because my screen resolution is, there we go. There we go. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, here we go. So it's just this little widget down on the bottom corner, and yeah, pretty cool, right? Pretty simple. And making it is dead simple. Where is it? I hit them all. They're all up here. So let's start off with the. I guess we'll start off with the drop down because that's the simplest thing, right? So this drop down. So this is a drop down stack, not a drop down menu, and it's a part of the components, Foundation 6 components. It's a drop down, okay? And so this is just like a little widget that is hidden on page load, and you can launch it from various things. You can launch it from a button. You can launch it from anything using the launcher stack is what we're going to be doing here today. But the dropdown is really simple. You can define a size, right? I just used large, so it was kind of like a defined width. I chucked in a form and some text. And I put in some stuff in here. So I put in actually, let's get rid of it. I'm actually not using that class. I put in P20, right? Here, let's look at these. Look at these classes here for a second. So I'm using P20, which is, if you've ever used the utility classes, that just adds 20 pixels of padding, okay? I then added, I have this class, which we'll look at the swatches for this chat widget container. And then I added another utility class of shadow, which adds a drop shadow to the element, right? Okay, so let's look at what this chat widget container class does. And it's pretty simple too. Here we go. All this does, I have two things. I have a rounding swatch, which makes the corners very rounded, right? Because I wanted them more rounded than, there are some utility classes like radius, which does some, but I wanted it to be a lot more rounded. So I just created a little rounding swatch to make it more rounded. And then I have a border swatch. By default, drop downs have a 1 pixel border. I wanted to remove that. So I have a border swatch that sets the size of the border to 0. Okay. And both of those are applied to the chat widget container class that I created. Any questions on that?
Very difficult to read it, Joe, even though you zoom in on it. So the resolution seems very low.
Really?
Yeah, real bad.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Let's see if I can fix this.
Great. I thought it was my eyes.
I just been to the opticians today and it made it worse.
Okay, hold on one second. Let's see if I can. This may break everything that I've just been doing. Does that look better? Do you see a difference?
No.
No.
You don't see a difference? Okay, I got another idea here. I will stop using my special, cool, new streaming technology that I was trying to use, and I will just use Zoom's built-in screen sharing. One second. Does that look better?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hey.
Excellent. Sorry about that. I'll have to tweak that noodle. I was trying to use the same software I was using for my normal live streams through Zoom because that little magnifying tool, I really like that, but Zoom doesn't, you never see that with Zoom. Zoom doesn't allow you to see that tool. So, okay. Sorry about that. So, okay. Just back to it. I can't zoom into these anymore because, again, like I said, Zoom doesn't show you that, but hopefully you can see it maybe a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, we have the P20 class, chat widget container, and shadow. And then I have the rounding swatch and the border swatch set to 0. Okay. Oh, and another big thing with the drop-down stack is you want to set a drop-down ID. So I set this to be chat modal. Okay. Okay. Let's move on to the slightly more involved component is the little launcher thing that goes on the bottom of the screen. So this little SVG that's down here at the bottom, that when we click it, it opens and closes the drop-down. Okay, let's do that. So this is just a container. Inside the container, we have a launcher. And then inside the launcher, we have an SVG. Okay. I will work from the inside out. So let's start with the SVG stack because it's the most simple. Okay. The SVG, this is just an SVG that I got. Yeah, just plop that bad boy in there. And it was colored blue. I centered it. And I think that's all I did here. I think all the rest of these are the default settings. I think I applied a max width, but that actually doesn't really matter. Okay, so that's the SVG. The launcher. So inside, I want it. So when I clicked on this SVG, the launcher, what this does is this actually is what is responsible for opening and closing that dropdown. So the launcher here is set to open the dropdown, and then I set my dropdown ID. So chat modal. Okay. Now what I've done here is I've added 2 utility classes to make sure that the launcher fills the height and the width of the container stack. Okay. So my container has a fixed width and a fixed height. And so I wanted to make sure that the launcher filled that entire area. So it doesn't matter where you clicked inside that circle, which is the container, the launcher will actually behave like a launcher. Okay. So that's what these utility classes here, W:full and H:full do. Okay. Container. And I have to say that these full utility classes, especially the height, it really works just great when something is a fixed height of some, this container has a fixed height. So having H:full works. H:full doesn't necessarily work if the height of something is dynamic. It might not work what you expect. So just a little tidbit of info there. This container, it has a few classes. So I have W:80 and H:80. Okay. And a trick. If you notice, this is a circle. Okay. By default on web design, everything is a square or everything is a rectangle. Okay. And to make a circle, essentially what you need is you need a square and then you round the corners of that square. That's how you make a circle in web design. Okay. So here I've made a square by setting the width and the height to be exactly the same, 80 pixels. Okay, using the utility classes. I could use a swatch, but we have utility classes and they're just convenient. So in this particular instance, utility class is just faster. Okay. And it's not something I'm going to leverage on multiple things. I just want this one little widget to be 80 pixels high and tall. So there we go. I use the utility class to set the background to white. So BG:white. Then I have chat-widget, which actually does have some swatches associated with it. Okay. Hold on. Let's see if I can use this little doodad here. Oh, here. All right. Grab this little thing. All right. So yeah, so up here, you'll notice that we have some widgets. Okay. So we have some swatches that are assigned to that chat widget class. Okay. And then I have a padding of 16 pixels added. So P:16. And then lastly, I add a utility class called rounded and that rounded will make a square round. Okay. So if I were to I forget the keyboard shortcut to turn on this little option tab. There we go. So like, for example, if I take, that didn't turn it off. There it goes. If I take this rounded class off, you'll see that the round corners inside edit mode go away. And if we preview that, there we go. We have a square now, but we don't want a square, right? So I'm going to put that rounded class back. So if you have a square, now if you notice inside edit mode, the width and height utility classes are ignored so that, it has room to create all your content. It creates this pill object because the width is larger than the height. So it creates a pill. So rounded will round those corners for you. And if it's a square, it'll make it look like a perfect circle. So there you go. So let's look at these utility classes that are assigned to the chat widget class. So the first one is a border. That's really simple. I just have a 1 pixel blue border around it. Pretty simple. Next is I have a shadow swatch that adds a very slight shadow. Hold on, let's refresh this. If you look here, I mean, that shadow is almost indistinguishable. But what's crazy is if you remove it, it looks a lot different. Like you don't think it affects just having like a very light shadow. So yeah, you don't really necessarily really see the shadow, but if you remove it, it would look weird. Here, let's do that actually for fun.
Up?
I'm sorry?
Can you move the window up?
You can't see the window?
Yeah. Oh, it's as far as it goes. Okay.
Oh no, that might be your Zoom settings. Do scale to fit or screen sharing or something like that.
Got it.
Okay. So here I will remove this this drop shadow on that widget, and if you notice, it looks just like flat now. Here, hopefully you guys can see that. Not sure where your resolution is, but it just looks flat, and it doesn't look like it's hovering there, right? So that shadow really makes it pop. Okay. And lastly, the magic sauce that puts it down on the bottom corner is a position swatch. So we just set it to relative to browser at the bottom right, 10 pixels from the corner. So yeah, pretty simple, right? And then obviously, and that's it. That's all it is. Now the launcher takes care of the click of opening and closing the drop down. And all those 3 swatches we created, position it, add some border, and add a shadow. Any questions on that? Or want me to dive into some more settings or more further explanation on any of the things that I showed?
I was wondering, Joe, can you add hover effects to this?
Sure. So drop downs could be triggered on hover, right? So here in the drop down stack, there's a setting for open on hover. So that let's let that go. So when you hover over it, it'll open on hover.
Yeah. So I meant, could you sort of change the color, much like a text link? Because I was trying some text links in Launcher yesterday on one of my sites.
So you want to change? Oh, okay. So you want to change
the
color
I
of
didn't
this?
try for long, but I couldn't get the effect. I wanted it to be like a link.
Sure, let's do that. I'm going to turn that open on hover off because I think it doesn't really make sense in this case. But okay, let's just change the background color on hover for this. Okay, to something other than white. Okay. So to do hover effects, we're going to do let's add a new swatch. So we'll do a background. Oops, I clicked the wrong thing. Add it in there. Okay. And then we're going to affect the chat widget, right? So let's do chat widget background. Chat widget. We want a background color. Here, what I can do is I'm going to set the default here using a swatch so we can kind of see both of them together. So I'm going to set that background white. So what I can do is I'm going to go to this container and remove that BG white utility class. Okay. Because we're going to control it with swatches now. So now I have chat widget background white. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste that. And we're going to set the pseudo state to be hover. Okay. And then we can change it to be whatever we want, right? If we want it to be, I don't know, I'm going to do something completely hideous just so that we can see it. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. So now on hover, that's going to turn orange. All right. Please don't do that in real life. Okay. Okay. Now, if you look, that's not too nice. Like it's very abrupt, right? That actually is really ugly. Let's choose something that might be a little bit nicer. That is really, really bad. All right. Let's what else would look good with this light blue? Let's just make it light gray. Okay. That might look a little nicer. All right. I'm still not in love with that, but we'll keep it. Okay. So how do we get a little nicer like trend, like a hover transition? So it's just not like abrupt from white to gray, right? Okay. I guess we'll stick with a color so we can really see the animation through. Okay. So how do we get that nice transition? Okay. Well, there is something called a transition swatch. Okay. And this allows you to define how to animate attributes over time. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the chat widget class to this transition swatch. And I'm going to say speed. We'll just leave the default. Speed is 1,000, delay 0. And this is milliseconds. So it'll take a 1 second animation. Okay. And you can have an easing effect if you want to go all out and learn what easings are. It's just how the timing of that 1 second is. Like, okay. So yeah, that's all we need to do. So we have a transition swatch on chat widget now. Okay. And let's preview that. And you'll see there how when you hover over, it actually fades instead of just being abrupt, right? I'm not sure how well you see that in Zoom, but there is a fade effect now. Okay. And that transition is more than just anything for backgrounds, right? Let's say, for example, which is probably actually a little bit nicer. Instead of changing the background in this instance on hover, what I might do is change the shadow. Okay. So here I'm going to delete this red background because I just want it to be white all the time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the shadow on hover. So I'm going to copy and paste the shadow. We're going to set a pseudo state of hover. And let's make the shadow, right now it's 10%. Let's make it more like 50% on hover. Okay. The color at least, right? All right. So I'm going from this very subtle to on hover something a lot more dramatic. Oh, another thing. In shadow, there's two different shadows. You have a box shadow and a drop shadow. Drop shadows are not animatable. I don't know if animatable is a word, but I'm going to use it as a word. They're not animatable. You cannot animate a drop shadow. You can animate a box shadow, though. So I'm going to use the same exact values. I'm just going to set this to be a box shadow instead. And man, that is very, very subtle. But here, what I'm going to do is on hover, I'm going to increase the spread as well. All right, I'll do this just for a dramatic effect so you can see it, even though this is probably going to look horrible. But you see that, right? So that kind of gives you, you know, if we just do, let's reduce that a little bit. Subtlety is good, people. Like, yeah, right. So, you know, that's a little bit better. I'd even go probably more subtle than that, right? But as you see, that's nice. You hover and you actually see something happen, right? So yeah. Does that help out?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Joe, the dialog box that comes up, does that inherit the same class as well then? So that's why it's positioned at the bottom right-hand side?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So I have this same class on multiple swatches here. So I have border, shadow, the transition swatch, and this position swatch is what's actually taking anything that has that class and chucking it down on the bottom corner.
Right.
Right. This position swatch, we said it. We're setting it relative to browser. Okay. So we're telling it relative to the browser window, I want you to position it this way. Bottom right. We're using unit of pixels. So we do 10 and 10. So that's 10 pixels from the bottom, 10 pixels from the right. If I wanted it on the left, I would do, I would turn off right. I would set left, and then you put 10 there. Right. Yeah, so now it's going to be 10 pixels from the bottom left. Right. So if I preview this, it's now going to be over here. Right, there it is.
But then if you select it,
I'm sorry?
If you then select it and bring up the dialog box, where does the dialog box then go? Oh, it's over there. Follows them, does it? Right.
Yep. Yeah. The drop down will always follow whatever is launching it.
Right. Okay.
Okay. Now you might need to tweak in the drop down. There's a position. I have it set to bottom right. You probably want to do bottom left or something, or you might want to tweak these based on if you wanted the same exact positioning. I will be shipping this as a template probably next week after the conference. So I have a few other templates that I think will be nice. So I'll ship this as a free update to the templates, and you'll have this little drop down widget. Okay. Any other questions? I'm going to set this back to the right just because I liked it over there.
That's cool.
Okay. What else is on this page that is kind of cool? This, as you see, this is just my sandbox page that just has a bunch of just weird things. Here. This is actually going to be another template. Multiple templates actually. If you see here, I have two different types of overlapping layouts, right? And all this is done with just Foundation 6. There's nothing special here. It's all done with just out of the box foundation stacks. Okay. So this layout here on the right is very common, especially like for some sort of like contact card or maybe like a testimonial on the page or something like that, right? Where you have like someone's profile picture and it's kind of up there on the top of the card, right? And then below here, it's either a quote or information about the person or something, right? So this is a very common layout, very, very simple to do. Here, let's have a look at that. So here I'm using Columns Pro, but this particular one doesn't necessarily require Columns Pro. It's just this picture stack and a card stack. Okay. So here I have a card, and then you can put whatever you want inside the card. And then I have a picture above it. Okay. And the magic here is, if you notice this image is a circle, but it's a JPEG. Okay. How did I do that? Well, I already told you, in order to make a circle, if you start with a square, you can easily make a circle. So this is a square JPEG that I just added a rounded class to. And since it's a square, whenever you add the rounded class, it will make it a circle, right? So if I delete this rounded utility class, that's a square JPEG. I didn't need to make it a PNG, right? Which is going to make it bigger because it has transparent pixels and all that garbage, right? But just by having a square JPEG, I can add the rounded class to it, and I magically have a circle version of my image. Okay. So that's one thing. Next is I have a utility class here that is -MB:48. And what this does is this adds a negative bottom margin to this picture of 48 pixels. So what that does is negative margins are very powerful. It allows, this is exactly, it's one way to overlap content. So by adding negative 48 pixels, this image is going to be brought down 48 pixels. Okay. Actually, technically, what's actually happening is the content below it is being brought up 48 pixels. So, and what's cool is all of that is just kind of that 48 pixels is just kind of gone. Like the browser just gets rid of it, and it just seamlessly carries that the content below it up, so that this image is now overlapping the content. Pretty cool, right? So super simple. This entire thing is done by one utility class. Yeah, I told you about the rounded, right? So I guess 2 utility classes if you want to use the rounded, right? So all it is just having a picture on top of a card and then applying that negative margin to the picture. And that will, again, bring that content up. So then the picture is overlapping the card below it. Pretty cool, right? Any questions on that? No? Okay.
Can you make that card with like rounded edges, like a radius edges, so it looks more square?
You could. I mean, it has rounded edges here. It has a radius class on it. So I have a shadow on it and I have a radius on it. But the radius that gets added with the radius class is defined in site styles. So if we go to site styles, the global border radius is 3 pixels. So it's not very much. But if you wanted your global border radius to be something larger, we set that to, let's say, 10 pixels. We preview that again. It's more rounded. And that's pretty cool because the radius for that radius utility class is controlled globally. So, and you have access to control that inside site styles, which is pretty slick. Okay. So you can add the radius class to whatever you want, and it will add that rounded corner for you. Now, obviously, you could create a swatch as well for yourself that has a specific, radius, and you can use that as well. But this is just a radius utility class that you can add to anything. It's kind of similar to the rounded class. Okay. Good question. Okay, so that takes care of this card. Well, how about this layout where this card is overlapping this image? How do we do that? Okay. Well, this uses Columns Pro, and this actually does require Columns Pro. You can't do this with a normal column stack. Okay. So inside Columns Pro, I have 2 columns, and this particular one is set to be 12 columns on mobile, and then auto, which means since I have 2 columns, it'll be 50% width on tablet and above. Okay. So how do we overlap this? Well, similarly to the picture stack, if we look at this second column, I have a utility class added to it, and it's -ML:64. And what that does is that sets a negative margin left of 64 pixels to this second column. So as you see here, it drags that column out and makes it 64 pixels larger, okay? Hence overlapping the first column. Okay. And what's cool is the content still remains flush to the right side as well. So it's not taking the width and then moving it over. It's actually making it larger so that it fills up 64 pixels and overlaps the first content. So this entire layout is done with one utility class. And it's just using a negative margin left. Again, you could create a margin swatch and set that to be a left margin of -64, or you can use a utility class. It's up to you, but both work well. And this particular layout will also be a swatch or a template. Sorry, a template probably next week. Or you can use a utility class. It's up to you.
But
So any questions on that? No? Man, I guess I nailed it.
You can just get blown away how simple it
Or
is.
either that, or
Joe.
you guys are geniuses and you're just bored. You're like, this is rudimentary stuff, Joe. Come on.
no, I love watching it.
Cool. I guess you're probably wondering what this little stack is here. These things here. If you're wondering what those are, these are some new animation stacks. I've been working on some animation stacks for the past on and off for the past probably 6 months, actually even longer than that. It started off with Drift, which I first created like over a year ago. This is two different stacks right now. This one right here, this is a new version of Quick Flip. So this is going to be version 4 of Quick Flip. As you see, it's the animation's really cool. It actually, I don't know if you can see it right now, but it kind of goes in and then flips, right? It's pretty slick. Stupid dogs. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry. And then this middle one, if you notice, it's actually a 3-dimensional cube. And I mean, right now I just have it configured to have like the same content on 2 sides, but it is a 3-dimensional cube. And I've made it actually so you can have up to a 12-sided 3-dimensional object, and then you'll be able to basically rotate it in space. It's really cool. That'll be called, it's called Prism. And yeah, that's really cool. It's kind of like you can use it as like a slider, I guess. But again, it's just this 3-dimensional object that will just rotate around. Just kind of show you how it's dynamic. Where is it on this page? I'm going to delete one of these sides, and that will magically transform from being a cube to being a triangle. Oh man, this must have an older version on the page. Okay. I have an older version installed right now. So, but imagine when you hover, but it's kind of cool. You can see that this is reserved for 4 spots, and I deleted that side. You can really see it is a 3-dimensional object, right? But the new version that I had updated the version so it was dynamic. And what's crazy is like I had to relearn trigonometry to do this. Like this was like insanely difficult. Because you have to learn how to position things in a 3-dimensional space, and it was crazy. It was kind of fun, but not something I necessarily want to do all the time. It did rack my brain a little bit, but it was pretty fun. And you'll actually be able to tilt it a little bit as well. I don't think this version has that either. So you can actually kind of see it as it moves. It's really cool. So yeah. This I was going to give people a sneak peek of this at the conference this year, so you guys get a little sneak peek first. Sweet. Any other questions? Love seeing a whole bunch of new faces today. It's awesome.
I like the effect, Joe, with missing the missing card. That's kind of neat.
You still doing a Hangout Friday, Joe?
There will be no Hangout this Friday. During the Hangout, I will be doing the conference. So yeah, there will be no Hangout this Friday.
Next Friday.
Yeah, the following Friday we'll continue Hangouts next week.
I got another question for you on the button, but I'll wait till then.
You sure? You got me right now.
Well, it won't. You can't add swatches and stuff to it. Doing it that way to get the rounded.
But a swatch is just a class, right, Ryan? Right? We've learned that. Okay. Yeah. So that when I change that class to be a button, swatches they're cool, but it's not rocket science, right? All you have to do is take your class that you've defined in your swatch and put it in that button, and you're done, right? Here, let's do a little example.
Okay.
Okay. Let's Hold on, let me open up that file. Oops, wrong. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so here, let's create a class. Okay. So you wanted what, rounded corners, more rounded corners?
Yeah, rounded corners. Yeah.
Okay. Well, first off, let's play with some utility classes really quick, right? So inside this button, okay, remember we added a class of button. Now, sorry, I can't use my little magnifying tool right now because Zoom doesn't let me use it. Okay. I taught you 2 utility classes today that let you affect how things are rounded. We have rounded and we have radius. Okay. So right now I'm going to add radius to this. So I'm just going to say inside the class, inside the double quotes, I have button, I put a space, and then I put radius. Okay. Look, I'm letting you peek behind the curtains here. Okay. You know that little setting inside the classes stack that you can type as many classes as you want? Well, guess what that does? All it does is take what you type there and it plops it inside of a class inside the HTML, right? And that's all it does. Okay. So that's what we're doing here. So inside my button, I added radius. Okay. So let's look at that really quick. You can kind of see it here in preview a little bit, or in edit mode. So there it goes. Here I have my radius now. Okay. Now let's look at something else, right? If we wanted a pill, if we wanted a pill button, right? I would use rounded. Okay. So instead of the radius class, I put rounded in there. Okay. Let's click on that. Let's refresh. There we go. Now I have a pill button.
And so
Okay.
you keep adding them on if you want to change color and so forth.
Exactly. So here, let's inside buttons, you know that we have colors here for secondary, success, alert, warning. You can also do custom ones with backgrounds, right? But guess what? Like, let's do like alert. Guess what the alert setting does? Guess what it does? When you select this, what do you think is happening to the button?
Changing color.
It's changing the color. How do you think it's changing the color?
Inserting the code in there.
Right. All it does is add a class, right? Okay. So here I'm going to type alert. Okay. In this class. And look, I mean, you can see right here in edit mode, that button is red now.
Right.
Right. Okay. But I'll show you how to do it with a swatch. Okay. So, okay. So let's do it with a swatch. So I have swatches. Let's do a background swatch. And we're going to call this Ryan's dash button. Okay. That's my class. We're going to do a background color and we're going to set it to purple. Okay. Okay. So there I have a background swatch with a class of Ryan's dash button. Okay. And all I'm going to do is go in here inside the class, inside the double quotes. Okay. I have button space rounded and I'm just going to do another space and put in Ryan's dash button. And when I preview that, there we go. I have my purple button.
All right. Cool. Thank you. I am not a coder, and I know I need.
I understand. Yeah, but I just want to show you. I just want to, hopefully, like this is. I don't think something as simple as this would break your brain, right?
No,
I mean,
it wouldn't. I'm happy to learn it. I want to learn it. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully that's why I just want to teach you that classes aren't something to be scared of.
Right.
Right.
You just make the swatch and then you add the name of the swatch into there.
Yeah. Right. And guess what? I mean, I can create, now that I have Ryan's button on there, I can create all kinds of swatches with Ryan's button. And let's add a border to this button, right? So let's do Ryan's button. We'll do a color of Here, purple. Let's go like.
And let's add a border to this button, right? So let's do Ryan's button.
Someone is there. We go. Okay.
So you just name all of your swatches the same thing, and it'll automatically.
Yeah. I can.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get I don't want green. I wanted like a yellow. There, gold. All right. So there I got a gold, and the border size is going to be like, I don't know, we'll do like 5 pixels. Okay. So now I have Ryan's button that's a border. And guess what? When I preview this, there's my button, a purple button with a 5 pixel gold border. Right. So, I mean, you really only need to add one class, and you can, if you're using swatches, you could just create tons of swatches and apply everything to that same class.
Right.
Every swatch doesn't need to have a different class, right? You can apply, borders, margins, backgrounds, shadows, all kinds of stuff to the same class.
Right. Cool. Thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Now, you just expanded my mind a whole bunch as far as what you can do. Chris is laughing at me going, yeah.
No, it's awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Like I actually didn't think you could do that way. That's cool.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Joe.
Excellent. Sweet. Did that expand a bunch of other people's brains too? I love that. That's awesome.
Joe, I mean this in the nicest way. Sometimes I just want to punch you in the face. You rack your brain for something on a week and you fix it in 5 seconds and you just want to walk away from it.
Well, I feel good that I'm not alone now.
Good to see you, Ryan. Haven't seen you join a Hangout for a while.
Hurricanes, man. Hurricanes.
Oh, hurricanes. Ouch. Man.
Yeah, I work for AT&T. They
yep, I remember. It looks like you're in the bunker today, though.
Central office.
Same thing. I worked at NASA once, completely off topic, but I had an office that was like in the middle of the building. It was just concrete walls and like no windows. You had no idea what time of day it was. It was crazy. It was not the best place I worked, actually, to be honest with you. It was in Houston, which also isn't the best place to work either, especially in the summer. That was horrible.
You don't like humidity, Joe?
Oh man, Houston in the summer, you can keep it. Woo! No, thank you.
Come over here to South Carolina. We got some of it too.
Oh man, you could walk outside. You could like cut the air. It was just like Jesus. Yeah.
That's 6 months a year here.
Oh no, thank you. My wife at one point was trying to convince me to move to Florida, and I was just like, "There's no way in hell I'm moving anywhere that's humid. There is no way. That is not me."
You get used to it.
I have to take 5 showers a day.
We'll take you.
Cool. Well, any other questions, or else we'll wrap up today. So now's your chance.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure, Craig. What is it?
Okay.
Well, any other questions, or else we'll wrap up today.
My question is, I believe the solution is your agent stack.
Sure, Craig.
And here's what I want to do. I need, I design pages and I have, I believe the solution is, I'm getting some audio feedback, so I don't know what I've done wrong here, but I design pages and
Oops. Craig, sorry. 1 second, Craig. You need to unmute yourself again. Let's see if we can stop that audio feedback loop.
That better?
Craig, why don't you mute the video? Are you watching it via Zoom or YouTube?
I think I'm on Zoom now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you have a browser window that still has the YouTube video open? That could be. I think that's what you're. I think you should close that.
I think I'm on Zoom. Close. Sorry. Say that again, Joe.
Do you have a browser window that still has the YouTube video? Close your browser window. I think that's what.
Okay.
I think you should close that.
Close. Sorry. Say that again, Joe. Okay. I've now.
Well, now we know what the delay is from Zoom to YouTube. Like.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Oh, so
now I can hear you.
Okay. When I design a site, I design a page and I have unique layouts for different formats, right? Desktop, tablet, etc. And I find the flexibility is good, and I use the stack feature hide and show in order to show the stuff I want on any given platform or device. However, that results in all that stuff being downloaded, 3 versions, and that's a lot of extra stuff. And that's the obvious problem. And I would like to use Agent to get that burden pushed upstream to the server. Is that agent one of Agent's functions?
Yes. So that is definitely what Agent started out to be, and it still does that. It does a lot more now too, but that is definitely one of that's the original use case for Agent, so that you could target a particular device and then not even have any of that content loaded, right, at all on let's say you have a layout that you want to have on desktop, but you don't want to show that layout on mobile. That's exactly what Agent does.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can achieve that with hide. You
yeah.
still
So
get
the
the
difference
load.
is if you just use like a visibility stack, or the little settings built into some of the stacks, like the hide this on mobile or tablet. What that does is it doesn't remove it from the HTML. It still loads all of that content. Okay. Now, what Agent does is it detects on the server. It tries to detect what device you're on, and then it will actually remove content and not send that content at all down to the browser. Okay. Now, I just a caveat. There are many stacks out there that don't like to be removed and ripped out of the HTML. Okay. So if you need to be careful if you're using that feature in Agent, like add stuff to it slowly, and then if you notice the page break, you'll know that, oh well, that stack doesn't necessarily like being an Agent. Okay. Now, Agent does also have a compatibility mode, which, to be honest, makes Agent turn into what like a normal visibility stack is. Okay. But that compatibility mode is very useful for testing stuff. Like if you have tons of stuff in there and you're like, man, what's breaking? You can turn on compatibility mode, maybe on and off on various things, to see what is causing it not to work. Does that make sense?
Yep. Well, fundamentally, it sounds like Agent is just the perfect solution for this.
You should have a warning with using Agent for doing layouts, and the warning is that if you design something for a desktop and someone loads your website in a desktop and then they choose to resize the browser because you're targeting the desktop, the mobile version will not load when the width of the page changes, and you will break.
That is correct.
You will break the website. So fair warning, I would not recommend doing what you want to do with Agent, because you will then break, for instance, an iPad if someone loads your pipe and then your site and puts it on to slide over.
iPad. No, not necessarily. So I mean,
it has
you can still make
broken
your
on
desktop layout responsive, right?
Yes, you would have to make it responsive still.
Yes,
correct.
And that's fine, right? But
that's
you just
the only thing.
Yeah, you need to make sure that you know that resizing the browser window with Agent doesn't dynamic. It detects you're on a Mac, so it will serve up data from a Mac for a Mac, right? So he does have a valid point there that just because you have your Safari browser on your Mac, at mobile size, it's still gonna trigger that you're on a Mac. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
But I don't see that as the problem. I don't know who was speaking then.
Yeah, Josh. Yeah.
Josh.
There's nobody important.
I don't see that as a problem. I see someone just resizing their desktop in the middle of a visit just because they need the real estate for something else.
Yeah. Yep.
Then you might be stuck with a blank screen.
Well, yeah. Well, you won't get a blank screen. It will take your desktop version and it will still adjust based on the responsive settings of that layout.
Correct.
And when you say the responsive settings of that layout,
the sizing for your columns and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like for
Now,
instance,
I do have to say that browsers are getting more intelligent with visibility settings. Okay. So inside Foundation 6, you will notice that in the picture stack, it has a visibility setting built into it. Okay. And at least latest versions of browsers, if it notices that an image is set to be hidden for this current resolution, browsers actually won't load that image. Okay. So browsers are getting smarter with visibility style settings, but it's not perfect, right? So definitely if you're using it on just an image, it'll work well. Instead of using something like complex like Agent, but also in the picture stack for Foundation 6, you can load a mobile version instead as well, right? So but I just wanted to give you that caveat information where browsers are getting better and they won't load everything on page load by default any longer. However, in a lot of cases, Agent is the solution.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it would be for me because like every single page on my site, I use a stack called Backpacker. I think you have something very similar, Joe.
Yes.
And I build the page in that and then collapse it so it's out of my way. So when I have to do revisions and stuff, I can deal with what I have to do. It keeps me organized. And you guys are all younger than me, everybody on the screen. So I really need those organizational tools. So that's how I keep the pages straight. But in addition to that, and I could have different pictures, different images, certainly different cropping and ratio. I think that it's a lot of stuff that doesn't need to get loaded, and I'm having issues with the speed of my site. So that, and I just recently discovered that the robots read all that stuff, even if it's hidden. And then you get reports back that you got like way too many page subheaders and you've got duplication, and so it impacts your SEO.
Yes.
So it sounds like Agent is going to be a good fit. I think at least 60% of the people that we're dealing with this site use a phone anyway. So
okay, cool.
Thank you very much for that.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Ka-ching.
Show naming the swatches all the same thing is so awesome. I mean, I can't believe that I didn't know how to do that. It's just, I've got it working now. I can't believe it's that simple. And I sat here for 2 days trying to figure out how to do that.
Nice. Cool. Anything else, everybody? Any other questions? Else we will call it a day. I guess we'll call it a day then. Hopefully, you guys are going to join me on Friday this weekend for a 3-day virtual event. We're going to do this basically for 3 days and learn from a lot of your fellow weavers. I'm sorry for those that have to go through Josh's talk. That I'm sure you're going to have to, gruel through those. I'm sorry. I just apologize in advance for all that you're going to have to deal with Josh for 45 minutes. But, that's okay. He's an okay guy sometimes.
North of the border, it's just much better than down south.
I think you should do it while driving the bus.
Yeah. Yeah, you get a live stream while doing that, Josh. Yeah.
No comment. This is being streamed to the internet.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed today. Hopefully you learned. Looks like I expanded Ryan's brain at least. That was awesome. I appreciate that. So cool. We'll see you guys. There's no Hangout this Friday. But we'll probably see you. I'll see you on next Wednesday and the Friday after that. And I'll see you a lot of you this weekend at the summit. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a wonderful week.